Hi, my name is Joyce Rockwood, and I am so excited about today's interview with Brittani Alexis Feinberg. She and I met about a year ago. We're going to tell you a little bit about our backstory. She's going to tell you about her backstory. And first, before anything else, I would want to welcome her. Welcome, Brit.
Hi, Joyce. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. It's my first interview, so I'm very happy and excited that it's with you.
It's an honor, and I'm sure this will lead to many more. Your story is amazing, and I am so excited because there was kind of something going on without me really knowing about it. And then I saw this photo of you online and I was like, what? I didn't even recognize you. So everyone who's listening is probably wondering what I'm talking about. So before we tell the big reveal from Stripper2CEO, Britt, why don't you just tell everyone a little bit about yourself, your background, your age, where you were born, where you were raised, that kind of stuff.
Okay. So born and raised in Miami. Mother's Cuban, father's Jewish, so Cuban. I'm 29 years old, so I've lived in Miami my entire life. And just to give you a little quick story, so since I was young, I was always an entrepreneur. I started my first business at 8 years old. I started a car wash business. And I always knew I wanted to be in business. I was just obsessed with business and just learning marketing and how to make money. And then when I was 16 years old, I was a little bit of a rebellious teenager, as most of us are. And I decided to move out of the house at 16.
Wow.
Drop out of high school. I started college right away to prove a point to my father. So I studied medicine, which completely backfired because I hated it. So I dropped out of school at 16, go to college right away. And I was waiting on tables. I was a waitress, because it was good money at the time and it was paying for life. And then around 17, I decided one day to just walk out of my job and never look back. But I still needed money. So at the time I was dating this girl, and she's like, oh, you have the body. Why don't you just go strip for a weekend, make $1,000 and you'll be fine. So I was like, I'm very shy. I've never really been the type to expose my body and, and flaunt. But that one weekend, ended up being almost 5 years of my life.
Wow.
And luckily I have a sister she's like 3 years older than me, and we look identical. So I walked into a strip club with her ID and I was like, hey, I'm so-and-so. And they hired me because we look identical. So I was able to get away with it. And they didn't know I was underage. So and then eventually I was of age. And so that was like a 4-year process of my life. And as one would assume, what comes with that lifestyle is drugs, alcohol, partying, and I went downhill for those few years of my life. I didn't have guidance. I didn't know. I was just making all this money, but I didn't know what to do with it. So I was just shopping every day or just doing whatever. I'm trying not to swear, but I was effing off, as you would say.
You can drop an F-bomb.
So it took me a while to snap out of that mentality. I knew going into that, I wasn't a lifer. I knew I had a greater purpose. I knew I was smarter than that. I knew I was better than that.
Yeah.
But it really does, that lifestyle, it sucks you in, man. And it's like sometimes
it's addicting.
Yeah, it is. It's
right?
Addicting. You become addicted to the money, and you work 3 days a week and you'll make, you can make 10 grand a month or more. This was I'm going back, I'm 29 now. So this is going back a little over 10 years ago. But yeah, then I got to a point where I woke up one day and, I had a few scares. I almost overdosed, and I was like, that's it. I know I have a greater purpose, and I need to get out. So
let me ask you, how did you know you had a greater purpose? What was the light bulb?
The light bulb was I've always had a knack for business and figuring shit out. I'm the type of person, you call me, Brittany, I have a problem. I need a website done, or I need this done, or so I've always been able to put business deals together and put the right people in contact. And I don't know, I'm just really good at business. So I know me shaking my ass naked in the middle of the night doing drugs is not my purpose, right?
Yeah.
And I think also a lot of it had to do with stuff that happened prior in my childhood where, you feel, and when you're high all the time, when you're on drugs, you're not thinking clearly. And I guess I didn't value myself, right? Or in that stage, there was no self-worth, or it was just like just getting by, just living the moment. But there was like a voice inside that's like, you need to stop effing off. You need to get your shit together,
Right. Because you had that foundation originally, right? From
right.
the 8.
Yeah. So I had, and I grew up, my parents were great. I had a great childhood. It's not like I grew up like shit. Like my parents had money, which is, I just always had the same. I was like, I felt like I had to prove a point. I need to make my own money. And then, it was a blessing at the time because my family did go through a financial hard time when I first started dancing. And my father didn't know what I was doing for a living. But it came to a point where, he still had my brothers and my mother living at home and he needed help financially. So because of that, I was able to help him financially and really support my family for, almost a year in that. So
were you keeping your stripper life a secret from your family?
Yeah, everybody thought I was selling drugs because they didn't understand. I went from like living in an apartment, then I had this house, I had a Mercedes, I had all this nice stuff. So they're like, what the hell are you doing? Because my personality, I'm very tomboyish, very reserved. They would have never even guessed that I became a stripper because that was never in my character. Like I don't even know how to dance to this day. I don't know how I made the amount of money that I made, I guess, because I'm just so raw and honest. I don't even know how to dance for real. And I can barely walk in stripper heels and I wouldn't even wear makeup. So
there, you know what, babe? There's someone for everyone.
Yeah, I guess I did make a lot of money though. I guess men they were drawn to me because, why do men go to strip clubs? Most of them are married. They need to vent about their life, and I was just a good listener, and I just always had like that business sense. So
and there's something to be said for the rawness and the authenticity, right?
Right.
You didn't wear the makeup, and so they got to see you for who you really
I didn't have the fake boobs, the fake butt, and that's another thing growing up in Miami again. And it's not that everybody's like that, but it's very hard because most people here are very superficial.
Right.
So you grow up with a little bit of a insecurity, like, oh my God, I have to have the fake tits. I have to have the fake ass. I have to drive the nice car. I have to have a certain amount of money in my bank account. I have to live in a high-rise apartment in Brickell or South Beach. But then you have $0 in your bank account. That's the mentality here. And it was like, shit, it took me so long to kind of like get out of that.
So you, just before we segue into how we actually know each other, because I'm sure everyone is wondering, how do we know each other? Before create a little bit more suspense, what, you had a segue, right? So you stripped for 4 years, you knew you weren't a lifer, and then you started a store, right? What kind of stores? Right. What kind of store did you start? You were age 22?
Yeah, I was 22, so I decided to open up a physical retail store, and it was a sex store and a smoke shop. So we sold like vibrators, adult toys, and then also like bongs and pipes and stuff like that, gas masks, all that fun stuff.
And that you could tell your parents about.
Oh yeah, no, it's funny. When I opened up my store, God bless him, my dad, he went and he was hanging like, the dildos and the vibrators and stuff on the shelves. He was a good sport, and he actually helped me out when I started.
God bless him.
Yeah.
So let's flash forward to how we connected. We met last year. We're literally having our own anniversary.
Yeah.
Because your wife, Natalia Maldonado, was one of the guest speakers on my show, Plant-Based Champions. And you saw a bodybuilding couple, a plant-based bodybuilding couple that I had interviewed. So Dani Taylor and Giacomo Marchese, I interviewed them, and then you saw their interview, right? Because I guess you registered for the show, and why don't you?
I saw all the interviews you did. That was a great summit that you did.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I saw their interview, and I was so inspired because I always told Natalia, I was like, she did a bodybuilding competition years ago, and I was like, I want to do it. It's on my bucket list. I have to do it before I turn 30. And I saw their interview, and I was like, holy crap! Like, it's possible to do it. And I know they're vegan. So I was like, I'll try vegan or plant-based. And it was like literally maybe a week after, I was like, I found a coach and I started training. I went, but because of that interview, it was like like listening to their story it inspired me to see like what's possible in their method, the way that they went about it. I was like, it doesn't have to be like, you have to eat like all this animal protein, because what that does to your body long term is not good, right? So I really opened up my eyes, and I had that shift. So I was like, oh, okay, I can do this. If they're doing it vegan, I can do this plant-based or vegan. And yeah, but it was because of them, because of you. Yeah.
So had you always wanted to do something that was that radical physically with your body?
Yes, I'm a very extreme person, so yes. I just was not. I was not prepared for everything that came with it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that. So you saw the interview, you got inspired, and then you started training. You hired a trainer. How did you find your trainer?
So I was going to Orange Theory Fitness here in Miami. I was taking a few classes, and he was involved with the company. And we crossed paths, and he's like, he owns a gym here, like a bodybuilding gym, and he's longtime bodybuilder. So he knows his shit in the industry. So he's like, I want to do this, but he's like, and he's just like me, super hardcore, extreme. He's like, okay, you want to do this? This is your diet. And it was a process of 117 days. And yeah, he was the one that was like, he straight up was like, toughen up, buttercup. Those were his words to me when I was like, I don't know if I can finish this. Like, I can't get out of bed. I have no energy. He's like, well, you got to go do an hour of cardio right now. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Get out of bed. And then I had my lovely wife saying, just breathe, meditate, love. And it was like two extremes, right? I had somebody here yelling at me, like, go do your cardio. You got to lose another 10 pounds in 2 weeks. And then I had my loving wife, like, just breathe, meditate, let's pray.
For those who don't know Natalia, she is an intense body instructor and a badass warrior. So she's
she really did help me through this process. Like, if not, I would have lost my shit. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about that. What happened during the training? Did you have, what happened with the other parts of your family? Obviously, your wife was totally supportive because she's
right. She's been my main supporter. She's amazing. Super grateful for her. So what happened was about, I think 2 weeks after I decided, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm super focused. Shit hit the fan in business and in personal. So not to get into too much detail, but let's just say business-wise, I literally lost everything overnight.
Oh.
Yeah.
You were training.
Well, when I decided to train, so I was like, oh my, like I literally, like I lost it, and I'll never forget. My wife again was like, just breathe, we'll figure this out. And it was a long process. But I ended up using that to fuel me to train even harder. And I used it in the wrong way. I used it as anger to fuel me. And then later on, I'll explain why love is the answer and how that helped. But yeah, so it was, like I wasn't sleeping. I was stressed. So my body, when you're stressed out, your body holds on to fat. So I wasn't losing the amount of weight. And I was doing this without drugs, without steroids. I don't even take fat burners, no pre-workouts. So I was struggling. I was like, why am I not losing? He's telling me I need to be losing 1 pound a day. And I'm barely, and I'm not even losing, 3 pounds a week. So it was, and we tell ourselves when things like that happen, when somebody, I guess, in a way, it was like I got robbed blind because I wasn't aware. But again, life lesson, and everything happens for a reason, and everything serves its purpose, even if it's bad. It was very hard to still, because I wanted to give up. I was like, screw this. I'm like, there's no way I can finish this now. And it was a lot that I had to work on the inside to be able to overcome all the exterior crap.
So you're working heavily on the physical, and then Natalia's helping you with meditation,
mental, emotional, learning to let go of the internal bullshit, because if you don't let go of what's inside, the guilt, the anger, the fear, the doubt, your body's going to hold on to that as fat.
Yeah.
And it does no good.
Let's talk a little bit more about the physical. I'm going to bring up some photos that you shared with me that you said I could share with the audience.
Yes.
Show them what this transformation looked like. It's pretty friggin' amazing. So left and right. Do you want to talk about some of the process of what this was like for you, this shy woman?
Yeah. So it sucked. Being completely honest, look, for anybody who wants to compete, the process sucks. It is not easy, but if I can do it, anybody can, because I am the most stubborn person, and like it's possible. Anything is possible. And with all the obstacles, it was just one thing after another that kept coming up. And I was like, I just started laughing because I was like, all right, like I'm still gonna do it. Like you can keep throwing shit at me, but it's still gonna happen. So that was the day, March 12th. That was the day I decided I was like, all right, I changed my diet completely. Went plant-based. The only animal protein I was eating was fish. And that was it, like no eggs, because automatically the trainers, they want to say, okay, you have to have chicken or tuna or eggs like 5 times a day. And I was like, I'm not doing that. So I would substitute some of my meals with vegan protein shakes. And then, yeah, the July 7th, that was the day.
I mean, this is amazing. Britt, it's literally 5.
That's a 15-pound difference there.
It's 5 days shy of just 4 months of training. For someone who's not even in the world of bodybuilding. Is this a record? Like, are other people capable of doing it?
Anything is possible. Like I didn't, and what I would advise to enjoy the process and the journey more, because you get so caught up in the end result that you don't recognize how far you've come throughout the process.
Yeah, look, so this is like right before competition or just on
so that was the morning of. I was 18 hours dehydrated with no liquid.
Oh, sorry, I just flipped it. Let me go back to that photo. Here we are.
So I was
18 hours with no liquid. Ooh, this is taking a brain of its own. Here we go. 18 hours no liquid.
Yeah.
That's to contract.
So that's to like dehydrate and lose. So even the night before, my trainer, he's like, take a shot of vodka and espresso. I lost 3 pounds overnight because it dehydrates you even more. And then you just, obviously you just pee it out. Yeah.
Wow. And this is obviously a spray tan with some makeup. Do you want to talk about that piece for you? What was that like?
So I never wear makeup ever. And this whole getting beautified, straighten my hair. This is my natural hair. I never straighten my hair. I wanted to walk on stage with Converse because I love my Converse, but he's like, no, you got to wear heels. Like you have to do the whole thing. I was like, you know what? Fine, I'll do it. And then there's my wife helping me put my makeup on because I don't even know how to put makeup on.
I love it. And then we have the final. Look at this. And
I won 2nd place in my class.
Yeah. Wow. So how many other people in your class were you competing against?
I honestly don't. It was a few. It wasn't that many. It was maybe like 10 other women.
And you had never done this before in your life. So
no, and then the posing, I like had a trainer for that. I was like super awkward. And then so a lot of people that know me were like, wait a minute, but you used to be a stripper. You should know how to walk in those heels. And I'm like, but the difference was I was sober here. So I had to look at myself in the mirror every single day to see my progress. When I was stripping, I didn't give a shit. It was a completely different mentality.
Yeah.
So
wow. Okay. So anyone listening, this is a testament to anything you imagine, anything you conceive that you put your mind to, you can create. Right? You set the goal and then you figure out the steps to get there. Britt, so many of my clients, they want to know it all first. Right?
No, I know, I'm that person too. Super impatient. No, you have to go through it. Yeah.
You have to go through it. So you just have the vision and then you have the intensity and the intention and you carry that compassion with you. You carried the compassion with you for 4 months.
Yeah. And enjoy the process because you have to like start with self-love, man, because if not, it's brutal. And I had to learn the hard way.
Yeah, this is just unbelievable. I'll show the first picture just one more time to embed. Because I didn't know this was going on. And all of a sudden I saw this post, I think it was on Facebook or Instagram. And I was like, wait, what? Who's that? And then I started scrolling through the whole feed to make sure it was you. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's me, just a few shades darker.
So let's talk a little bit more about after the competition, right? So you go through this competition, you've done it, you've come in, was it first in your class or second in your class, you said? Second in your class. I mean, like, amazing. That was a competition in Miami?
Yeah, in Miami.
Okay. So what happened for you after the competition? What were some of the things that you went through?
So after the first thing my trainer said not to do was the first thing I did. He's like, you know, you can't go crazy eating, but you know, you're deprived for so long that you just want to eat a pizza or a burger. And it was like, I went in and I just ate everything. Like the next morning I had pancakes, I had pizza, and I remember, again, I was warned this body isn't, you know, it's not sustainable, that lifestyle and that look, unless you want to be dehydrated forever and unhealthy and feel fatigue. And so I noticed a difference, especially like mentally right away. You know, so again, I was like, I fell into a depression because I was like, oh my God, now what? Like, I was like, my life was the gym for the past 117 days. Like, what the hell do I do now? And so I didn't work out for like 2 months.
You said you fell into a depression?
Yeah. Because I didn't know what to do. And then the minute I started eating, I was like, well, my stomach is not that flat anymore. And I'm like, okay, now I'm not 126 pounds anymore. Now my weight's going back up. Like my normal weight is usually like 140 because I'm almost 5'8". So, you know, it's my normal weight.
Right.
So yeah, I started eating like shit. I didn't care. I didn't listen to my wife. Big mistake. And I started, you know, I would wake up and I was like, I had like brain fog. Yeah. And I noticed the difference like right away. The minute I started eating the dairy, the red meat, I was like, I felt like shit. And I couldn't even focus properly. And then I went through that process for about 2 months and then I snapped out of it. And I was like, again, another extreme. I was like, I'm going to go vegan, like 100% hardcore vegan. And I did that for a month. And it's interesting, like right away, like you notice a shift, like immediately. I was waking up full of energy.
Yeah.
And I felt great. Like my digestive system is just, yeah. So I got it all out of my system. The sugar, all the bad food, all the good bad food, but it's not really good because if it makes you feel bad and you can't function, then
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your association with that period was you started to crash. You didn't was productive.
Major, like I'd want to stay in bed. Like it was a major crash.
Yeah.
So it really is true. Like I think it was Tony Robbins that says it, like he uses his food like as fuel, right?
Right.
You have to, because if not, it's, especially as an entrepreneur, like I always need to be, I work these crazy hours and my mind is always going. And if I'm putting, you know, sugar and dairy and animal products in my body, I'm not going to be able to function the way I should, like at a higher level, and be as productive.
Right. You're not an average woman.
No, exactly.
You don't eat average food.
Exactly.
And so where are you now with your diet? What works for you? What's your balance?
So now, again, because I'm very extreme, so now I have come to a happy medium, plant-based. The only animal protein we eat is fish. I love my sushi. There's no dairy, no eggs, no meat, no chicken. Everything else is plant-based. I love my Vega Sport protein is the best. So I make sure I have enough protein. We have lots of greens. We juice every day. We do our celery juice. Yeah. And then we've been doing intermittent fasting, but plant-based intermittent fasting. And that's been working very well because before I would like snack a lot. So now we do like 10 to 6. That's our eating period. And I've noticed a change. Like I wake up even earlier, full of energy, and I'm not as hungry as often. Because before, when you're training to compete, you're eating like 5 meals a day, and it's, you know, asparagus and tilapia.
Well, what happens when you get clean is your body becomes more self-sufficient, right? Yeah. So your food is your fuel, but in the absence of eating, your cells are clean enough to propel more oxygen through the system, which is why it's easy when your body is cleansed. Hello, colonics.
Right, yes, I'm a big fan of colonics. It's awesome.
For longer periods of time in the absence of food and not feel like you're going to fall on your face.
Exactly.
So yeah, intermittent fasting. I mean, I've been doing intermittent fasting for like 48 minus 26, 22, 23 years. So I am a total believer in that, and wasn't ever called intermittent fasting when I first got into it.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you've been doing it and you've stuck with it for.
Yeah, because I do like 1 meal a day for the last, 23 or so years.
Wow.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's share with the audience, what would you say was your biggest takeaway from this whole experience?
I'd say when I finally got on stage, because in the beginning when I first started, I was like, oh, I just want to train to get the body, but I don't want to get on stage. Like, I don't want to be in front of people. And I was just very shy. But when I finally, the day of, and I finally got on stage and I was like, holy shit, I'm doing this. Yeah, I had like a moment of victory.
Yeah.
Because there were so many times throughout that process that I just wanted to quit and give up. And anybody else, I think in my position, experiencing all the stuff that happened would have been like, F this, I'm out. But, I stuck with it. And that feeling when you finally get on stage and it's so short, like you go through 117 days of all this hardcore training, eating fish and asparagus, 5 meals for all this time. And then you get up on that stage and you're like, it was like, I don't know, it was, I would say the feeling was victory. And I was amazed that I stuck with my word and I did it. Like I finished something that I started.
Yeah. So do you want to speak for a moment, a little deeper into the victorious feelings? If you had to just even take a moment and breathe, what was the true victory for you? I mean, the training itself is one thing, right? But wasn't there something like deeper that spoke to you?
Just getting on stage.
Yeah.
That my biggest fear was to get on stage and expose my body. And again, a lot of people are like, oh, but you were a stripper. You were naked. There's a difference when you're sober and you're aware.
Yeah.
And you're literally like, you're being judged. Like there's a panel of judges there to see, and your poses, and like you're sucking in your stomach the whole time so you can't breathe, and you're smiling and you're dehydrated. So
it's intriguing, right? When you were stripping, the men were judging you too, but it was from a different space.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a whole other
mindset.
That's a whole other interview. Yeah.
That's a whole other interview. Okay, we'll save that one for part 2. So currently, why don't you tell everyone what you're up to, because you don't sit still.
Right, I don't. Okay, so I am a serial entrepreneur and I specialize in internet marketing. But right now, the focus is my wife and I have put together a program that helped me throughout my process and my journey. You know her, and a lot of you who don't know her, you'll get to know her. She's a big advocate for love. And she's always told me since I met her, love is the answer, love is the answer. And I was like, love doesn't pay the bills. Love is not going to get me a 6-pack abs, right? I'm like, that shit doesn't work. But it was when when I literally lost everything, right? Sometimes we have the answer right in front of us, but we don't realize it until everything goes to shit, right? And this is something that she's put together that worked for her. And it really helped me when I decided to I surrendered. And I was like, all right, I'm going to listen to you because I know you love me and you have my best interest. And so we put together this system, and we break down love in different parts. So love meaning, let go. We help people let go of anger and guilt and false beliefs and failure, right? You have to let go of all the shit. And this coincides with weight loss as well, right?
It's an emotional colonic system.
Yes, emotional. And there you go. To let go. And then O stands for, open your heart to let love in. I opened my heart to let love in. And, visualize, I was able to visualize my better self and actually visualize and see myself in the mirror and actually learn to love myself and be okay with what I saw in the mirror and not be so judgmental. Because even right before competition, I looked at myself in the mirror. I was like, oh my God, I'm still fat. And now I'm like, oh my God, I'm fat. But if I look at a picture, I was like, holy shit, I was really skinny. So it's just really, it's just, I think just gaining mental clarity. And it starts with learning how to love yourself and letting love in. But in order to do that, you have to let go of anything from the past and guilt, fear, resentment, again, towards anything. So we have let go, open your heart, visualize your best self, what you want. Voice, learning how to speak for so long. I've always kept everything inside, right? And as women, a lot of us, we keep it inside, learning how to voice your opinion and what you feel. And within that, you know, we raise the other V. She breaks it down to 3 V's. We raise our vibration, right? More positive. We raise our vibration. And with that said, the final one is E. We empower. So the goal is to empower other women, not just strippers, but other women in the world to through this L3, this love formula that we have. So that's what we're working on now. And it's a program we put together. And right now, you know, we're doing a challenge, you know, so women can sign up. And I think that's the mission and that's the purpose now.
So what is the best way for people to find you online? Is it through Instagram or Facebook or both?
Either or. So Facebook, it's Brittani Alexis Feinberg. Instagram is Brittani_Fine. And then if anybody's interested in joining us and embarking on this journey, it's oneactivationaway.com.
One O-N-E or the number one?
No, O-N-E, okay. Activationaway.com, because, you know, what we're doing is we're activating the wellness warrior within. And we're hoping other women do that as well and this does coincide with the weight loss and intermittent fasting, but we're starting with self-love and within, because if you don't love yourself, and if like you said, if you hold on to the emotional stuff inside, your body's going to hold on to fat. It happened to me until I finally surrendered and I listened to her, then everything worked out.
So your future vision is using this new system to not only support strippers per se, but anyone out of a life that has a bit of a dead end or is really not one that's sustainable into something that is more entrepreneurial, that actually not only creates hope for themselves, but allows them to create a ripple effect with other people and do the same.
Absolutely. Yes. And then later on, I want to help business coaching with the strippers who want to get out of the environment. And I am launching a book, Stripper2CEO. So hopefully that can help them as well.
So thank you so much, Brit, for sharing your incredible journey. You know, when I first created that online show, I had no idea what would come out of it. And reconnecting with you has been such an incredible honor. And to see what you've gone through, what you've put your body through, and how you can be an inspiration for other people, just creating something that seems unattainable, but is completely doable when you set your mind to it, is really the theme here, I would say.
Absolutely. Yes. Anything is possible.
So Seriously. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And if anyone listening wants to get more in touch with you, you can find her online. Definitely reach out. She is a pretty much a powerhouse. And I'm sure she'll have more to share with you. And we can all look for your book. That's super exciting.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. We'll catch up with you soon. Thank you again. And we'll see you all real soon.
Bye now. Thank you, Joyce.
Bye-bye. Thank you.